This is a great group today. Folks, my name is Adam Sachs, and I've been investing in real estate for over 20 years. And just to share a little bit of my story, 20 years ago I moved to from Cleveland, Ohio. Someone else was from Cleveland. From Cleveland, Ohio down to Orlando, Florida with $500 to my name. I knew nobody down there. I had a degree in electronic technology. I knew nothing about real estate at all. And I was scared, but yet I didn't want to spend another cold winter in Cleveland. So when I arrived in Orlando, Florida, not knowing anybody, I figured I could always get a job at Disney. I went into a local real estate office in Orlando. It was warm. It was sunny. I'm like, okay, I could live here. And this little lady, realtor, helped me find an apartment for $325 a month, unfurnished. I went to Walmart. I bought an air mattress, and that's where I slept. And I figured I would just spend the winter down there. This lady invited me over to her home for dinner that night because I didn't know anybody at all. And it turns out her husband owned a credit bureau, and by the end of that dinner, he offered me a job working at the credit bureau for $15 an hour. I'm like, yeah, man, this is great. I was excited. And I called home to my dad, and I was like, Dad, I just got a job, and I got an apartment. I've only been here for one day. And he's like, Adam, you are the luckiest guy I know. You have a golden horseshoe in your you-know-what. And I'm like, Dad, I think luck comes to those who seek it. Well, anyway, I'm working at the credit bureau, and life is pretty good. And I find myself, however, at $15 an hour where there's more month at the end of the money than money at the end of the month. How many of you have ever experienced that one? And I thought, man, what if I can't get up? What if I can't go to work tomorrow? How would I pay my bills? And before I knew it, a year had gone by, and I'm still working at the credit bureau. I'm still living in this little apartment. And I get invited to go to one of these no money down real estate seminars. And I'm thinking, man, no money down. I can buy houses. I can buy buildings. No money down. I qualify. Thinking, I'm going. It's free. I really qualify. So I go to their 2-hour pitch. And most of you have seen some kind of pitch. Heck, tonight we got a few of them. But this was for a seminar. This was to go to a 3-day boot camp. And I'm like, man, I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm not going to be poor in my rest of my life like my folks and all my friends are. I'm going to do something that's different. And I believed, even from that point on, that there are more millionaires made through real estate investing than through any other means. How many of you believe that? There absolutely are. I mean, that's why we're here. There is more wealth. There's leverage. There's so many creative ways of getting in the game with very little of your own money once you know how. It's really all about the know-how, because I really had $500 when I started, and I was paycheck to paycheck. And I know what it's like to get really tough, but in my case, I go to that seminar, and I get excited. And I pay the $1,500. I put it on a credit card, and at the end of the 3-day training, I'm dangerous. What do I do now? And they say, well, Adam, what you really need is a mentor, someone to hold your hand. And let's introduce you to Bob, the mentor. He's in the back of the room. Bob Venture, the mentor. Bob was 25 years old. I was 23. Bob owned 50-some properties already. And he said, you know, Adam, I'd be happy to guide you through the process of buying your first couple of houses. Because remember, I knew nothing. I didn't even know what a mortgage was. I didn't get it. It's all new language for a lot of people. When you're first starting, you're learning everything new. And he said, but in order for you to have me as a mentor, our service is $15,000. Right. He said, I said, I would love to use your service, Bob, but I don't have $15,000. He says, well, why don't you get it? I don't know anybody who's got $15,000. He says, what do you have? I said, well, the only thing that I have is my car. And that's the only thing that I really have in my entire life at 22 years old. The only thing I have is a car that I paid for. He said, you know, Adam, this is very important for you to get this. He said, when you have a fear of making a financial decision, it means you're about to grow. Can you guys ever think of a time when you were really scared of making some kind of financial decision? For a lot of people, it's your first home. Now, if you weren't scared when you bought your first home, you didn't buy a big enough home. That's really the truth. We got to learn to get out of our box. We got to learn to overcome fears. And so I said, Bob, I'm scared to death. $15,000. He said, I'm going to hold your hand, and I'm going to make this business work. I said, are there any guarantees that I'm going to even get my first property? He says, no, but if you do what we tell you to do, you're going to make money in this business. It's inevitable. You know what the thing about real estate is? You can make the very worst investment anywhere in the USA and pretty much anywhere in the world. Nicaragua, Panama, Belize, Costa Rica, Mexico. I bought property. I own property all over the world. I've got property in many states. But my point is, you can make the worst investment, the most uneducated investment anywhere USA. Give it enough time, and it will go up in value. I mean, you could be a dummy, but you got to be able to hang on to it. You got to be able to figure out how to ride it out until you hit that curve where it goes up. And so I said, all right, Bob, I'm going to do this. I hocked my car. I raised my credit card limits. I don't know if any of you have ever done this before. Called the credit card company. He gave me a script. I read the script, and boy, they gave me a big limit. I'm like, whoa, I work at a credit bureau. Shouldn't be too hard. They give a lot of money away when you know how to ask for it. And then I paid this guy $15,000, and I was scared to death. I thought I was going to be eating Spam for the rest of my life. And if you love your family, you will never feed them Spam. I went out and I started making offers, just like he taught me. In fact, for the next 2.5 months, while I'm working at the credit bureau, after work, I was going out when it was wintertime. It was a flashlight. I was looking at properties. For the next 2.5 months, I made at least one offer a day. I ended up making 77 offers before I got my first deal, just outside of Orlando, Florida. That's a lot of rejection. People say, you're really afraid. Yeah. Okay, I knew I would eventually get one. I had to get one. Otherwise, I was going bankrupt, and that was not an option. First deal, I still own that house. 2-family house, rented out the upstairs, lived downstairs, got into it for no money at all out of my own pocket. My net expenses after collecting rent and making the mortgage payment was $32 a month. I still own that house today. I haven't seen it in about 3 years. It's paid for. It's free and clear. It's one of many properties that I've owned for a long time. It's paid for free and clear. I give that money away every month. And in fact, as you start to make money, this is just a little professing here, as you start to make money investing or however you make your money, you need to give at least 10% away. And I don't care if you give it to your church, your temple, your synagogue, to a charity, to some poor guy on the street. Give it away, and when you give it blindly. You don't care what they do with it. Just hope it goes to the right reasons. Because there's a lot of people out there that never have the kind of opportunities that you and I are going to have. And I started going out, and I made some offers. I got my first property. A few months later, I got my second property. My third property happened with my mentor's help. I took off my blinders because I was looking at houses at this price, and my mentor said, hey, what about this one over here? And I ended up buying the third or fourth house that I ever bought. When I left that closing table, I left with the deed in one hand and $26,000 cash in the other hand. Who could use an extra $26,000? It didn't suck because I used that money to fix up this ugly house that I bought. I sold that property, and I paid off the car loan and the credit cards, and I never looked back. Within 3 years, I had 45 houses, and I set some big goals, and I had an $8,000 a month positive cash flow at the end of that 3 years. That was from starting with nothing. And I think, I worked really hard, and I worked really smart, but if you listen to Zig Ziglar, and I love Zig. How many of you heard of Zig, right? Great sales trainer. Zig says, if you will do what other people won't for the next 3 to 5 years of your life, you can do what other people can't for the rest of your life. How many believe that? You will do what other people won't for the next 3 to 5 years of your life. You can do what other people can't for the rest of your life. You guys are here tonight. You could have been someplace else, but you're doing what other people won't do. I'm very much a believer that this market in Las Vegas is one of a great investment market. I've made a lot of money here. I really believe that in the next 6 to 12 months, you're going to see the opportunities start to diminish because there are a lot of short sales out there. That's the buzz I get, that people emailing me and calling me every day. Because anyway, after about doing this for 3 years or so, my mentor said, Adam, would you like to come on the road with me as my assistant? And I said, I'd be honored to go on the road and start traveling, in the seminar business. I am a seminar junkie. How many of you love going to seminars? I have been to every seminar from a national speaker. I have invested $250,000 of my own money. I've been to Robert Allen and all of his no money down boot camps. I've been to Zig Ziglar, Anthony Robbins. How many of you done a Tony? Any of you walk over fire? Barefoot? This is craziness. You take off your shoes and your socks, 1,800-degree coals. We walk over fire like it's nothing, saying, cool moss, cool moss, cool moss. We come to the end, we put our feet into some water, some smoke comes off your feet, and we're done. Guess what we're doing in about 15 minutes, my friends?